Thanks everyone for your time today. My name is Patrick Baker and I'm going to be leading the presentation. I'm president of Constructive Solutions, which is a division of the Answer Company. We'll give a couple more minutes maybe before we get started on the presentation, maybe just one more minute and then we'll get going. I pieced together an agenda today to keep us focused and on track. It's my intention to introduce you to who we are as the Answer Company, who Acumatica is from both a corporate and a technology overview, and then we'll spend the majority of our time in the product, the Construction Edition. I'll give a general overview and general navigation of work groups, dashboards, and then we'll get into the construction specific features, budget management, commitment management, change order management, through to contract management and how it is that you bill your customers. And then we'll, at the back end, there's the ability to post questions during the presentation if you choose. Lori, I'm not sure about the audio. Can they audibly ask questions, or will they just be posting questions into the chat?
Just posting questions into the chat.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'll encourage you to post any questions that you have as you come up through the presentation. Those can be brought to my attention. And make sure that we're going to cover them off at that point in the presentation or at the end of the Q&A when we discuss next steps. Okay, well, the Answer Company. We've been in business for over 27 years. We're one of Canada's largest system integrators with offices in Toronto, Winnipeg, Calgary, Portland, Oregon, and our head office is in Vancouver, British Columbia. We have over 2,300 clients that we serve, that we've helped implement and provide services to on an ongoing basis. And we're over 140 team members strong. We're the #1 Acumatica partner in Canada, servicing many different industries. We give back into the communities in which we serve through our corporate social responsibility program. And we continue to grow at a very manageable annual growth rate of 15%. We know construction. The Answer Company in March of 2021, about 15 months ago, the Answer Company acquired Constructive Solutions for Business. Constructive Solutions for Business had been in business since 1999, so over 23 years. And our sole focus was the construction and real estate marketplace. We had worked for many years with the Answer Company in collaboration in the market. If Sean and his team would be contacted by construction companies, they would introduce Constructive Solutions and we would support them through their investigation, implementation, and ongoing support of the solutions in our portfolio, and vice versa. If we were working with manufacturing or distribution or nonprofit, those areas that the Answer Company had traditionally focused on, we would refer business back to the Answer Company. In addition, we worked collaboratively on customers who had manufacturing, distribution, and a construction component. So after I've known Sean and his team, our cultures aligned very well, and in March of 2021, they decided to acquire the Constructive Solutions, and all 23 of our team members came across and became members of the Answer Company. Over our 23 years in business, we had worked with over 750 construction clients across Canada to implement systems and provide ongoing support and help them grow their businesses. You know, the Answer Company has received many awards and accolades over the years. Best workplaces, both from a professional services perspective, as well as in the corporate social responsibility and giving back into the communities. So on an annual basis, we go through a certification with Great Places to Work. To attain that certification, we were recertified again and have certification through until March 2023. This has been a very important initiative within the Answer Company. Over the years, Sean has created a very high trust, positive workplace culture where employees can grow and flourish within the group. Through our corporate social responsibility, being recognized as the best place to work and a great place to work, it does a lot to retain the staff and create a culture within our group. With regard to our corporate social responsibility, it was initially introduced in 2015. Answering the Call is the name of the program. And as an employee, I'm expected to identify and support charities of my choosing up to 4 days per year. In addition, as part of the Answer Company team, the Answer Company partners with charities, and it's expected that I'll also provide an additional 4 days per year working on things like river shore cleanups and sorting cans in the food bank, and working with local charities in the areas that we serve. So we're giving back in Edmonton and in Winnipeg and in Toronto and in Calgary, as well as Vancouver. So when you look at 8 days per year per employee times 140 employees, it's like having 3 full-time employees that are giving back into the communities in which we serve. So Answering the Call is a program that we're very proud of within the Answer Company. And again, it creates and contributes to that culture. Some of the charities in which we support, food banks, some are more regional. So we'd work with the Vancouver Food Bank and the Edmonton Food Bank and the Calgary Food Bank. And in addition to partnering with some national charities like the Heart and Stroke Foundation or Down Syndrome's Research Foundation. Not only do we give time going in and helping with events that these charities have upcoming, or to help them in their ongoing delivery of services to the communities, but we also use our expertise and negotiate with our publishers to get software for some of these nonprofits, and to work with them to implement and train the staff on how to use the software, and even develop custom applications to further to increase efficiency in those foundations, so they can do more with the people that they have and the funds that they receive. So Answering the Call is a very important initiative within the Answer Company. The services that we deliver and have developed over the last 28 years, we help companies with their software selection, supporting their investigation, understanding their business, and selecting the right product from our portfolio of products to support their, to future-proof their business and to set them up for many years to come, to grow their business. We're there every step of the way, from planning through piloting, user acceptance testing, go live, conversion of your data, and go live support. So when you're doing your first AP check run or your first payroll or your first month-end close, we're there every step of the way to support you in the deployment of your new solution. The platform that we're considering today, Acumatica, and many of the software platforms that we sell and support, they're customization frameworks. We have a development team headed up by Culvir. There's eight team members on Culvir's team, where we can really create, if there's features in the software that are not there to meet your business requirements, we can create customizations, and we can design code within the software to really tailor and wrap the solution around your business processes. Our exposure to those 2,300 companies gives us access to best practices out in the market. So again, those 750 clients that we have in the construction and real estate, we learn a lot from those customers. So when we go to implement the solution, and we can talk to you about best practice adoption, and if you're looking to mitigate risk in certain areas of your business, we can tell you about customers who do it in this manner to mitigate that risk, or this manner to protect themselves in this area. We can also tell you how you're doing in comparison to your peers, and develop KPIs so you can measure against industry how your business is performing. And for those customers that we've been working with for many years, we offer managed services. For those non-cloud clients that we have, we host their software for them in many scenarios, and give them support right down to their desktop for all their computing and networking requirements. So that's the Answer Company. We're responsible for helping you with your investigation and supporting you implementing your software and providing ongoing frontline support to your group. The product that we're going to be talking about today is Accumatica's Construction Edition software. So Accumatica is one of the publishers that we partner with. Again, I mentioned that we're Canada's #1 Acumatica partner. Acumatica is based in Seattle. Their head office is in Seattle, Washington. A group of ex-Microsoft people that in 2008 didn't feel Microsoft was moving to the cloud in the ERP space fast enough. So they formed what is today Acumatica. They're a global company. They have over 80 individuals in their Montreal development office. So a lot of engineering, they don't sell their product direct. They go through a channel of resellers like the Answer Company. So they're very focused on R&D and business analysts and developing software. So their head office is in Seattle with development teams in Montreal, Mexico City, and Moscow. All of the professional services and frontline support from Acumatica directly. So their support and their technical expertise is based in North America, based out of Columbus, Ohio. Acumatica was acquired in 2019 by EQT Partners. They're a private equity firm, so we're very well. Acumatica is very well funded. They're one of the world's fastest growing ERP platforms, and the acquisition by EQT Partners has really allowed us to accelerate the growth within the company to bring on more developers. You know, by the numbers, they have over 8,000 customers worldwide. They continue to grow at a very rapid pace. They have 550 employees, of which 85% are in R&D. So again, really focused on delivering code and developing the software and adding features based on both partner feedback. We're a part of the Business Partner Advisory Council, and they also have a very established customer advisory council where customers within the construction and real estate industry are giving them feedback to support the roadmap and helping them prioritize which additional features within the software would be most appreciated by the clients. You know, they have a very high customer satisfaction rating. On an annual basis, all clients of Acumatica are asked one question: would they recommend Acumatica to their peers? And that net promoter score really ties into how we're compensated and how Acumatica employees are compensated. So everybody's pulling on the same rope and delivering an industry-leading customer experience. Again, I mentioned that Acumatica is all channel. They don't sell their product direct. They feel like a local understanding of industry. So Canadian construction industry is really key in positioning their solution into the marketplace. And that's what the Answer Company brings to the table in our partnership. They're consistently ranked #1 in usability, which you'll see when we get into the software, but it's a very intuitive design, Google-like search, so you can navigate around the software very easily. G2, Nucleus Research, Software Reviews, Gartner Peer Insights. These are online rating agencies of software that you can go to find out firsthand from end users what their experience has been. And it's those end users that come in and do these ratings on each of these different platforms. And I'd encourage you to go and see what people have to say about Acumatica, and in particular, the Construction Edition. You know, the software we're looking at today is anywhere, anytime, on any device. So no matter where you are, you have access to the information that you require to be effective in your role and responsibility. Acumatica has a very unique licensing model. They feel that the more people that are in the software, the more on the same page everybody's going to be. They have an unlimited licensing model. They do have a small business edition for up to 5 and 10 named users, and then it really jumps to unlimited licensing. And so whether you're out in the field, whether you're on your mobile device, whether you're in accounting or operations, everybody can be in the software getting access to the information they require to be more effective in their role. You know, these modern ERP solutions, cloud-based ERP solutions, are very transparent. Acumatica has an open university, which I'd encourage you to go visit during your investigation, but it has online access to different certifications and learning paths. There's online videos, there's help, there's blogs that you can post questions to other end users to get information. There's whole communities out online for the construction industry, for the manufacturing and distribution sectors. All within the Acumatica Open University. And again, this is an unlimited resource for your team to go and gain access to learn about the software, to reinforce the training that we deliver. Ultimately, you know, the Answer Company is responsible for understanding your business, configuring the software to meet your specific requirements, But we direct you towards the Acumatica Open University to acquaint you with some of the core features, so you can develop better questions. So when we deliver our training and we go through the configuration, you're making more informed decisions. And this is included in your annual subscription. The Xrp platform really is what defines Acumatica as a modern technology stack. Back in 2008, they selected some tools to develop the platform, which have proven to be the tools of choice when developing these cloud-based ERP solutions. HTML5, .NET Framework, and Visual Studio are the tools that they use to develop the solution that we're going to look at today. All of your data is hosted in Canada on Amazon Web Services, which is a very high performance, very redundant and secure platform used by, it's the leading provider of cloud storage and hosting in Canada. The solution has been developed on an SQL database, which again is very secure. Everything starts when I enter my username and my password, and it knows who I am and where I can go in the software. And SQL is also a very scalable database. So there's a localized version, the Acumatica Xrp platform. In 2008, when they started developing their software, everybody was walking around with a cell phone. Everything they've done has been with mobile in mind. So anything you can do, in any web browser extends down to your phone. So mobile framework is there. No limit to the number of companies you can set up, full intercompany accounting, providing consolidations for your group of companies. There's a Canadian localized version, which has French language included. It's also T4 and ROE and T5018 Canadian EFT ready. It communicates and has the Canadian banking standards built into the software. So whether you're doing AP, EFTs up to your bank and sending out remittances out of the system, all that comes as part of the solution. You can create your own workflows within the system. So no matter what business event, whether I'm approving an AP invoice or issuing a PO or a subcontract or a change order, I can create a workflow around that. And they have web service APIs that really allow us to connect with a number of different point solutions. In the past, legacy-based construction ERP solutions have been very closed, and it's been difficult to integrate with other platforms out in this market. These modern cloud ERP solutions really allow for the easy integration and interflow of data between different solutions, and I'll highlight that in the next slide. I mentioned it's a customization framework, so low code, no code, you can develop, we can certainly tailor any custom reports and inquiries in the system with the tools that are provided. But if you need to create a customization to support your business or a unique process that you have that you don't want to change, we can develop that. And Culvera can help your lead implementation consultant deliver on those. I mentioned it works in any browser. It's a full document management and document storage solution. And we can layer on business intelligence to draw upon multiple databases or any data within the Acumatica platform. So they started out in 2008 with a core set of financials and CRM, client relation management software. They were very successful in that space, meeting the accounting requirements of like a general accounting software. And then they started looking at different vertical industries that they wanted to pursue. They identified distribution and manufacturing as two markets that they wanted to go after. So they built out a very strong order management and inventory control system to go after. They had success in distribution and manufacturing and e-commerce. They created a tight integration with Shopify to meet the needs of their distributors and manufacturers who had an e-commerce presence. As time went on, they started looking at other markets that they wanted to enter. And in 2016, they had targeted construction as an industry they wanted to go after. So they did a gap analysis. They looked at their core financials and their project accounting that they already had in place. And they defined those gaps that they needed to build out. 2 years later, in 2018, they had their first construction edition ready for market. It's at that point that I partnered with the Acumatica. They approached me to represent to bring their construction edition to market in the Canadian marketplace. And so that's when I initially partnered with them. Sean and his team had already been partnered with Acumatica since 2015, I believe, because they were doing nonprofit and distribution, e-commerce, manufacturing. We then added on a field services, a work order management. So for those specialty contractors that need to take calls and dispatch a work order and flip that work order into an invoice, we have that whole work order management and dispatch board and calendar board and the like. So the building blocks of the software, and then the different additions that they've produced. As I mentioned, the web service APIs really allow us, it's changing the landscape of software out in the marketplace. Again, in the past, those legacy-based solutions had to do everything. They had to do project management, and they had to do work order management, and they had to, because they couldn't really communicate with other point solutions. Over the last 10 years, especially in the construction industry, a lot of the investment into software has gone into point solutions. So Procore is a collaborative project management software you may know of. ProEst is, again, a collaborative estimating platform. Smartsheet is the scheduling. So all of these are software as a service, unlimited license user models, and all of them have a common web service API technology as a part of their stack, which allows for the free flow of information. So if I'm producing a detailed estimate in ProEst, I can consume that into Acumatica. If we're entering budgets or issuing POs or subcontracts or doing change management over in Procore, we can move the necessary information so both the Procore users and the Acumatica users are all on the same page. Assigner is a equipment management and equipment resource planning dispatch for civil contractors. You know, today Acumatica does not have a Canadian payroll. We integrate with a number of, whether it be ADP or Ceridian or Payworks or Criterion, there's a number of different payroll services that we integrate with. You know, we can capture time, code that time to a job, approve that time, and even burden that time all within Acumatica. And then we can feed ADP or Ceridian a payroll service today to process payroll and pay the employees. We have integration with Office 365. You can embed Power BI tiles right into your Acumatica dashboards. We have integration with DocuSign. So you might issue a PO or a subcontract out of Acumatica. When I go to send that natively from within Acumatica, it'll spin up, if you have a DocuSign corporate account, it'll spin up an envelope. It'll send that to the individual for signature. When they sign it, it comes back directly into Acumatica and attaches that signed document to at the record level. So whether that was a change order, a subcontract change order, a purchase order, any of the documents that were moving back and forth between Acumatica and subcontractors or vendors we can incorporate DocuSign into it. Same for Adobe, very similar in the markup and signature requirements. We have HR solutions. So again, no longer does Acumatica need to do everything. The ERP need to do everything. It has seamless integration with a number of point solutions. I'm not sure if there's any questions. If not, I can move to the product demonstration for Acumatica. So I'll switch over, pop in here. And so I'm in Acumatica. I could spin up another window to show you how I got here. So we go, I'll pop into the login screen. It's going to ask me for my username and my credentials. When I hit sign in, it'll spin up another instance. I have a couple already going, so I might close out of one here. But here it's bringing me to my dashboard. So it knows who I am as Patrick Baker, and it's logging me in and delivering information that I've told it to deliver that's meaningful to me in my role and responsibility. So let me pop back up here. I'll close out of this one. So that's how one logs in. There's, again, I can come into companies or groups of companies. So these are called tenants. And within a tenant, we can have multiple companies, depending on how it is that you're looking to consolidate. You know, many of our business developer customers, developer builder clients, you know, they'll have, I don't know, 20, 30, 100, 200 customers in their group of companies. And we can organize how to group those companies together Again, I mentioned we have full intercompany accounting where you create due to and due from. So you could pay an invoice out of one company and it'll automatically create the corresponding transaction in the related company. And we have eliminating companies that we can set up to deliver consolidated financials, even down to the partner reporting level. So if I'm an investor in a number of companies, I could look at, within the group, I could run a consolidated set of financials based on my percent ownership across the group of companies. So all of that can be handled natively within. And then within this folder, I can have different companies. As I move between those folders, if I pop over and I go to Ace Construction, another demo data sample, you'll see that, my color schematics can change, my logos can change. So I can see I have Acumatica Construction Edition up in the top left-hand corner. I have a different group of companies that roll, a different group of projects that roll to different companies. So, we can really identify how it is that we move. This particular demo database has companies and then departments and divisions within each of those companies. So again, depending on how your company is structured, we can accommodate. I'll pop down to the construction demo data again. So I've landed and I have a dashboard on the right-hand side, delivering up different information. And on the left-hand side, I have a series of work groups. These work groups organize my applications. So in the construction edition, this is a construction work group. I can show all or see less. I can create, so these are transactions and things that I set up. So things that I do and things that I set up, processes that I run, inquiries and reports that I have access to, preferences that I can set up, forms, all things related to the construction module application. With any of these tasks, if I use them on an ongoing basis, I can create a tile to have easy access to them, or if I hover over, I can create a new, potential change order or owner change order. So in the construction, we set up projects. We enter project budgets. We can issue subcontracts and subcontract change orders. We can do potential change orders, CCNs, or change requests, we call them. And those change requests can be managed and grouped into change orders, which are approved by the owner. So we can do our pro forma invoicing here. We handle all invoicing types within the construction edition. So whether you're doing progress type work, whether you're doing construction management for a fee, time and material, cost plus, lump sum, unit-based invoicing, all of those contract invoice types we can manage natively within the Acumatica Construction Edition. Again, so this is construction. We also have a project management application. So in the project management application, we can manage project issues and convert those into requests for information. Those requests for information can then be escalated into potential change orders and owner change orders. We do daily field reports. So again, if your superintendent is out in the field and you're using our project management application, on a tablet, they can be entering time that was incurred that day, equipment that was on site, subcontractors. They can be creating project issues or change orders, all from within the daily field report. We have photo logs. We do shop drawing management. We also do drawing management natively within. So again, show less, show all. You'll notice that some of the tasks and transactions within here have a yellow star beside them. If they are tasks that I perform on an ongoing basis, I can designate those as a favorite, and they will be grouped in one area called favorites. So you'll notice that favorite has tasks from all of the different work groups. These are tasks that I run through in my demonstrations on an ongoing basis. But again, if you were a project manager, your favorites would be identified to support your role, support you in your role as a project manager versus an AP clerk versus a controller or a CFO. So I have tasks from construction, project management. I have some dashboards I often like to show, time and expense management. We have the ability to capture, expense receipts out in the field. We can group those receipts into expense claims. We can take those expense claims through an approval process, and then that ties seamlessly in with our accounts payable application. We can capture time, as I mentioned, at either the employee or the crew level, and then we can code that to a job and a cost code. We can take that time through an approval process. Today I mentioned we don't have a Canadian payroll. The Canadian payroll is scheduled for R2 in 2023. So we'll be looking to bring our first clients live in the June of 2023 timeline. In the short term, we have the ability to capture that time, code it to a job and to a cost code, take it through an approval process. Once that time has been approved, we can then run it through a burden rate table, and that'll give us a representation of the cost of that time onto the project. We have full procurement, so whether it's requesting information and rolling that to requisitions, flipping those into purchase orders, and then receiving against those purchase orders. For those specialty contractors that we deal with that maintain an inventory, we have full inventory management, right? So you can purchase to inventory and then relieve from inventory to the job, or you can purchase directly to the job. And again, we have full work order management where we can spin up work orders, we can dispatch those work orders, technicians out in the field can interact with those work orders, enter time that they applied to that work order, relieve inventory, assign POs to that work order. And then again, based on that customer and that location, we can then turn around and flip that work order into an invoice, whether it's fixed fee or whether lump sum or time and material based on negotiated charge out rates. The system also has a full Wiki Management, so you can create procedural documents natively within the system. So again, I'm in favorites. These are the different work groups. I mentioned there's a number of different dashboards that ship with the software based on your role and responsibility, and any of these dashboards can be edited. We have time and expense management, purchasing. Again, these are the full work groups and all of the things you can do, some of which I've identified into my favorites. So those are work groups. I get full edit over these and control. Again, if I don't have access to financials, I'm not, as Patrick Baker, a project manager, I'm logged in as an administrator, so I see all applications. I would only see those work groups, and within those work groups, specifically the tasks that I need to see, so we can control all of that by security. By double clicking on the icon in the top left-hand corner, it will always bring me back to my main dashboard. This dashboard is a project overview dashboard. And so I would be a VP of construction or VP operations or a regional manager of construction. Here I'm looking at my cost by project and change order logs and remaining estimate by % of project. So again, we have a project number that's user definable. We've given that project a description. On a project by project basis, I can see what my arrived and my revised estimate is, what my costs to date are, what my open committed costs are. So these are a combination of purchase orders and subcontracts that have been issued against these jobs. My remaining estimate and my % of that remaining estimate. Over here, I can see a list of all of the change orders across all of the jobs that I have under my purview. And any of these lines that are blue are hyperlinked, and I can drill and drop down into that project. So by hitting Burnaby Business Park, I can spin directly into that project to find out more information on that particular project. So here I was in my project overview dashboard, and then I can drop down into a project. I asked to see the Burnaby Business Park. So this is, again, following a hyperlink from my main dashboard, I can pop down into any project to get more information on that project. So moving down, we can embed things like web pages. So here's a job site camera, and I can bring that right in. I could have a weather service here. Here I'm looking at my contract status by project. So again, one line per job. We have the concept of an original contract. Then if you're using our change management, we can go from an original contract, we can create potential change orders and then convert those potential change orders into owner change orders. Once those become approved, we can add them to our contract to give us a revised contract amount, which we can then progress bill against. Here I'm looking at gross profit by project. Again, we track everything within the system to predict your profit on a job by job basis. So if you choose to make this information available to your project managers, then we can deliver it in a dashboard. One line per job, revised contract, revised estimate, estimated gross profit, and a % that's driven by those. Additionally, we can embed things like pivot tables. So if you're accustomed to using Excel today and using pivot tables within Excel, we can develop pivot tables natively within the dashboards within Acumatica and provide drill down capability. This particular pivot table is focused on a job at the cost code level, and it's looking at budgeted amount, revised amount, open committed, actual costs that have come in, variance amounts, cost at complete, and cost to complete. I can further scroll down there. I can get to other widgets. All of these are just widgets is what Acumatica calls them. So other web pages, here's the answer company. And again, I can drill down into these to get further information. If I come to design, if I have security to design, I can go and add in additional information or move the widgets around to suit me. So here I could bring in a chart or a data table, an embedded web page like the answer company's homepage, or a vendor that I deal with on an ongoing basis, or banking software, things along those lines. I can bring in KPIs, key performance indicators, pivot tables we discussed, Power BI tables. So Power BI is a business intelligence reporting tool that can take Acumatica data and present it in a very visual format, or it can draw upon multiple SQL databases across your business and deliver relevant information depending on the size of your group. And down here, again, wiki pages, right? So many of our clients use the wiki page system to develop procedural documentation, which can then be searched through the global-like search within the software. So I'll cancel out of here. I'll close off the design. So this was a project overview dashboard. And again, it has some sample data. As I move into dashboards, I could go look at and find out what a project manager might be looking to see. So this is a different persona within the software, and this is all about delivering information that I need to be more effective in my role and responsibility within the company. So I can see my tasks and my overdue tasks. I can see my active projects. I can drill down into information on projects that are over. I get to control when I go to the design. I can pick the colors that are my warnings here. I can see my ball in court issues. So these are project issues or RFIs that have been created that are awaiting my attention, my items to approve. Again, based on our workflows, you can create workflows around time approval, around issuance of a subcontractor, a PO, or a change order. What do we do? I could have AP invoices that we've brought into the system and create approval processes natively within Acumatica. So there's a number of variety of things that I could be waiting to approve within the system. Change order log, the change orders that I'm managing, my issues, project summary. So again, we can deliver up information that's relevant to support this project manager in his day-to-day job definition. Other dashboards, so if I'm a controller, I might see things that are, cash required and cash expected, overdue customers, overdue payments. Again, these are all just widgets, and they allow me to drill down into that information. Once I'm in this information, I can sort in any of these columns. So I could sort by ascending or descending. I could look for a particular dollar value if I wanted to. I can create filters and save additional tabs. So this is Pat's vendor filter. And there was some criteria that I was searching for. But again, when we go to filters, we can create different tabs. So this is all records. When I'm in any of these grids, I get to control the columns and the order of the columns. So if I want to bring my due in 30 days and I want to move that up, I can say, okay, I can save that. When I save that, it'll move my tab over. Alternatively, I can just drag and drop and it'll make those changes for me. Once I get this information in the format that I'm looking to use it in, I can take this out. So even though it's a cloud software and it's being hosted in Canada with Amazon Web Services, at any time I can take any of the information that I'm looking at in any of these grids and I can bring it down onto my workstation in a local version of Excel. I can then, save this as my overdue AP records or my AP vendor summary. And now I'm in my computer and I can come and save as and save it to my OneDrive or save it to my desktop. So I have full access to that from within the system. So that's the download to Excel. So there's some common elements in these grids. If I pop back to projects, so let's go back to that controller dashboard. I can always come back to my constructive solutions overview. It'll bring me back to my home dashboard. So that's sort of an overview of the work groups and the different dashboards that ship with the software. As we look to drill a little deeper into the software, I want to go down into projects. Maybe before I do that, I'll just do a search. So we talked about approval maps. So when we talk about intuitive design, to me, having something that's easy to navigate and intuitive in nature, all you need to know how to do is type within the Acumatica software. When I start typing, it brings up every menu item. So I was going to look for approval maps. I started typing APP and it came up with 39 menu items. So I wanted assignment and approval maps, but it has things for any type of approval, whether I'm approving time, approving expenses, looking at appointments, anything with APP. As I start to refine that search, it'll start limiting those types of tasks and menu items. I wanted to pop open approval maps. In this particular demo database, we've created some approval maps, for when you set up a project. Do we want to have a coordinator start and then have that reviewed by accounting before we can start entering budgets or entering costs against that project? Do we want to, what happens when an AP invoice comes in? We can create, there's no limit to the number of levels of approval. They can be role driven, so it can on job, Burnaby Business Park, I can have it go to the project coordinator before it goes to the project manager. And if it's over $50,000, the VP operations wants to see that. Maybe it goes to accounting for a final review before that AP invoice is posted as a cost to the job. What happens when we issue a subcontract or a purchase order or approve time, expense claims, expense receipts? So these are approval maps. If I come into bill and I start typing bill, it'll bring me menu items that are associated with billing. So here I have expense claims, billing expense claims, progress billing our customers, running project billings. If I want to go to, if I pop into help topics, it brings up everything that's related to within Acumatica help topics that are related to bill. So again, here I'm getting information to support me. Examples of different billing cycles, setting up time and material billings, finding a particular bill, customer billing configuration, setting up billing rate tables, billing rules and rates. So again, all of the help that's associated with it. I also have files that are attached within the document management system that are related to billings, and I can drop into any one of those. If I go back to the help topic, one of the topics was how to find a particular bill. If a vendor calls in and they want to find out about the status of their invoice, all I need to do is know the invoice number 95963. When I hit that, it'll bring me directly to that specific invoice. I can pop open that record. It'll take me to the AP invoice record, and I can find out where that AP invoice is in its approval. So I can see how it's been routing. And I can see the information. So here's the vendor detail. It was for Ford Metals. It was $12,847. Here's the distribution of that AP invoice. So it was coded against this job and this job within a job, or this project task and this cost code. And we entered it. It was for this information. Here I can see attachments on this record. It was related to this PO. So I've got a bunch of information on this particular invoice. Did it go through an approval process? How was it coded, and where did it end up in the general ledger? So we saw that it was coded to a job and to a cost code. Well, where did those costs actually end up over in the GL? So here you can see it was accounts payable, account 2001, and my cost of sale for materials. Again, user definable in how you set up your cost of sale. You could have one cost of sale account, or you can have multiple costs of sale. This particular demo database has one by cost type: materials, subcontract, equipment, things along those lines. But you'll see how it was coded and how that cost was captured at the GL level. So I'm on an invoice. I can see the financial details to that. I can also see up here I have attachments. Using our paperless AP approval, we create these dockets. So when an invoice comes in, we can monitor ap@theanswerco.com. As invoices are received into that mailbox, we can capture those emails. We can start reading information to help us with our AP invoice entry. We can then take that AP invoice entry that was initiated and route it through an approval process. We can take supporting documents and group those to support us in our approval of that AP invoice. So here's the PO that was a part of the invoice. Again, the PO was issued out of the system. So this is a report for us. So when we issue a PO, we can send the PO to the customer and it can quantify what we're ordering, the negotiated price, and the extended price. So when AP invoices are coming back in against that, we can make sure we're not exceeding the total amount of the PO, as well as the quantity that we ordered and the negotiated price if we so choose. Again, these are all settings that you can configure the software. As that AP invoice comes through, we're documenting where it is in the approval process. So we know it was this invoice from this vendor for this amount. It was acquired, entered, approved, and reviewed and posted on these dates and times. If there's any supporting materials from the field, like packing slips, once the check has been cut or the EFT has been issued, that digital representation will be sitting here. So again, when that vendor calls in, we can respond and provide them with answers just by knowing that invoice number. Another great feature within Acumatica is, when you're working in the software and somebody comes up and says, hey, can you look this up for me, or can you get me that information? Here's a history of everywhere I've gone within the software. So I could pop out to see the status of that AP invoice, and then I could come back to the project that I was working on. Again, ease of use and ease of navigation. You're not necessarily, I could be in one browser, or I can be in multiple browsers, right? So here, I was in that AP vendor summary. I can close out of that window. Now I'm back in my project tab. I think I have two of those, so I can close down there. So now we're in a project. We drilled in from the dashboard to find out more information on this project. We've given it a number the system can assign, or you can manage those. And this is just an example. It's very flexible in how you configure it. We assign the job to a customer because we're tying in our billing. We're tracking things like the actual income, what actual expenses have been incurred, and what margin we're tracking on in percent. These are just natural accumulators on that job. I give it a description. We're full multi-currency, right? So you can have a company in a currency. You can set up a project in a currency. You could issue a PO or a subcontract in a currency, or enter an AP invoice in a currency. And you can also turn around and bill your customers in a currency. Acumatica will manage all of those computations within the system natively for you. So here I'm defining the currency rate for the budget and for the project. I'm in the project summary tab. We have the ability to create templates. So if I come up here, here's all the things I can do when I'm on a project. But one of them is to create a template. So I could create, if there's types of work that we do on an ongoing basis, I can create a job template, and it'll grab a number of attributes that are related to this project and make that template available in my library. So when I go to set up a new project, I can go back to my template of my library template and grab those projects, so I don't have to key in every particular attribute on this project. But this one has, do we want to use our change order workflow? Do we want to track production units while we're in the field? What type of contract is it? This is a progress type contract. And what invoice format do we want to use for this customer? Do we want to allow the project managers to create pro forma billing natively within the project? So I have a number of tabs across here. That's the summary tab. I can go look at the cost budget for this particular project. Again, here I have the concept of a job, and then we have tasks. So tasks can be sub-jobs, so we can have jobs and sub-jobs. If you wanted to look at, if you were doing a multi-phase building, you might want to have each of the buildings set up as a phase within that project. So I could roll all of my costs to look at what are the costs associated with the overall project and with each of the buildings. So then we have a concept of a task or a job within a job, cost code, a description of that, cost type, and then we're looking at our original budget, changes to that, because we want to work with you to lock down your budget, use our change management to go from the original budget to a revised budget. Here's our commitments, so any POs or subcontracts that we've issued, the actual amount, these are costs that have come in from AP that we're coding against this job and against these cost codes. This particular labor cost is a burden cost, and I can go into that in a moment. I can see a variance, and then we give you the ability to plug in cost at complete numbers. Within the construction application, we do budget forecasts, and we also do cost projections. So these are advanced forecasting, but again, natively within the system, if I just pop back there, whoops, I just want to close this off, get back to my budget, we can give you the ability to do cost at complete for reporting purposes. So there's my budget. When I'm on a budget line item, I can drill down and view the transactions that are associated with this. So here you can see I have an actual amount of 13,000. Well, that came from capturing time, coding it to the job, coding it to the cost code, approving that, and then running it through a burdened rate table. So here's my labor entries. Here's the unit rate. That's the burden rate table that I set up for this employee and what a fully burdened hour of their time is, giving me a cost to that job. So that's just a time entry. But whenever I'm on any one of these transactional lines within my budget, I can drill down to get further information, to go to the transaction or view if there's a commitment associated with that. Here's a list of every PO and subcontract that's been issued on this particular job. So again, I could go back to the PO 2316. We ordered some material. I can pop that up to see what did we order. So we produce, again, I showed this before, but we produce the purchase order that can come out of the system. So this is just a report to us, and we can make it look any way you want. When I'm in here, I can send that PO. And again, we could tie it in. We can attach quotes up in the records. We could send it. We could create a DocuSign envelope. So this is a list of all of the POs. I'll pop to that PO. Within here, I'm seeing exactly what it is that we purchased and how we coded. So this particular PO is going to multiple cost codes, and we're ordering different materials for this job. If I come into the PO history here, it'll show me every AP invoice that was distributed against this. So again, I get full access to the system, and I'm back at that invoice now, and I can see how that was distributed against this particular job. We'll close out of here. Some of the additional, here's all the potential change orders. So again, the idea is that we create a potential change order, tag a status to it, and then monitor it. We build out the cost associated with it, as well as any markup and the price to the customer. As those change orders are being approved, so we have different statuses, closed, approved, those are being added to the revenue. So over on the revenue budget, this is the schedule of value that I set up for the customer and how we're going to bill them. This is a progress. These are my contract line items. And you'll note that the approved changes that have been added to this job are here, and there was no original budget, but we had change orders that have been approved. And again, right from here, I can say how much I want to invoice the customer. I can do that in a % complete or what a draft amount would be. And then from here, I can run my project billings. You know, the system produces all of the invoices that we send to your customers. So again, here's one of the initial, I think this was the initial progress draw on this particular job. So on this particular progress, I was asking for these amounts to be billed to the customer, right? So here's my amounts. I come up to attachments. Here's a copy of that invoice that went out to the customer. Again, this is a report for us. I'll make this a little bigger. You know, you can see the date and job. I had an original contract of $1,655,000. Complete to date is $420,000. There were no previous claims. This is the first. You know, we're managing holdback on your revenue contract as well as any subcontracts that you would issue. So then I have a net amount. We add on the tax, and this is a receivable that we'll be tracking over an AR. I have a continuation page here, and it's telling me which revenue line items I'm progressing down against and how much and what we're holding back. So everything is available natively at your fingertips within the system. Here I can see a profit and loss on the project to see how we're tracking. So I have my revenue and then my expenses all broke down at the cost type level to show what margin we're tracking and how we're doing on this job. So a lot of information in a short period of time. You know, if I go back to the cost budget and I want to group those projects by task, here I can see exactly how my costs are aligning against all my schedule of values on my contract. So here these are costs, actual costs that I've incurred against all of my schedule of value line items, helping facilitate and helping us with our progress billing within the system. So I think that's what I was hoping to leave you with from a product demonstration. I know it was a lot of information. Questions?
Yes, there are a couple questions already, Patrick. So let me just go through. Lanny asked, is there a safety side to this program? Manuals, forms, licenses, courses, qualifications needed, and audit friendly?
Yeah, so we have another partner called GoForms. We don't do safety natively within. Again, in our project management software, we're doing issue management. We're doing a variety of, we're doing issue management, RFIs, shop drawings, drawing logs, photo logs, daily field reports, but we don't do safety. So we would look to partner with GoForms. Again, another one of our partners that seamlessly integrates. And so what GoForms does is it integrates with Acumatica. So when I'm populating a form, I can pick valid jobs, I can pick valid cost codes, valid employees, all of those types of things into the form. But that's where we would manage things like safety. So very good question.
Great.
Next question, Lori.
Ron is asking, we currently use Sage 50 with about 20,000 inventory items. Are we able to import our data into Acumatica?
Absolutely. So as professional services, we're going to identify which data needs to come across. So tombstone information like vendors and customers and inventory items, all of those things are very easy. We need to harvest them out of Sage 50, get them into Excel, let you clean them up, and then we can import them into Acumatica's inventory software. So when we get down to here, we're going to have to, make sure that we're configuring the software to accommodate that import. But certainly we can create import scenarios to bring in that original information from Sage 50.
Great. And then Adam is asking, what onboarding or training resources are available for end users?
Right. So as mentioned, the answer company is responsible. Should you decide to proceed with us, we're going to be there to take you through a detailed discovery. Out of that detailed discovery we'll develop a statement of work. And the statement of work is going to define your prioritized requirements, timeline to implement, when we're going live. We'll have a better understanding of your internal skill set and resources availability. From there, we'll build out a detailed estimate and loaded schedule with both our staff and your staff to get you live and operational. So we're there every step of the way. We don't sell software without implementation services. The systems and the platforms that we're talking about need to be configured. And again, we're there to help you with the configuration, make recommendations based on our exposure to 750 plus construction companies. Mm-hmm. And then we walk you through, we convert the data to populate the pilot database. We deliver training within the pilot database where your group's responsible for running all of the sample transactions through the system and understand what the audit is on that piece of information and making sure it flows to all of the reports that we've identified that will be deliverables. So,
yeah. And to add to that, Acumatica has a very engaged user community, and they have ongoing free training for their user base as well, as new things roll out.
Yeah, like the Acumatica Open University is a wealth of knowledge. Open University, there's different learning tracks. There's again, this is to support us in the delivery of our services to you and the successful deployment. But we can come here and we can see learning paths. Those learning paths can be for consultants, like all of our team has done. We have 17 certified consultants on the Acumatica platform, but there's also end user learning paths. So are you in inventory? Do you do finance and management? Are you project manager, operations? So then when we pop in here, there's a whole variety of different tracks. So, do I want to get into accounting for projects, change management and project billing, accounting for projects? So, and then if we drill down further, there's a whole curriculum here. And these have little learning. This is an hour and 34 minutes on how to use project billing and change management. So again, this is all included in your annual subscription with Acumatica. But again, the answer company is responsible for delivering, getting you live and operational, confident in the use of the software.
Yeah. We include a training program by our team as well.
Yeah. Any additional questions come up?
I don't see any more, and we are just over time.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for your time today. We will be, hopefully, my intention was to introduce you to who we are as the answer company, who Acumatica is corporately, and provide you with an overview of their construction edition. So hopefully we accomplished that today. What we will commit to doing, we'll reach out to define the next steps to support you in your investigation. Typically, those would be to complete a discovery to understand your particular challenges and why you're considering a change, to prepare for and schedule an online demonstration to address those particular priorities that you have. We'd look to shape out the investment, make sure you're clear on the investment, moving forward up from both an annual subscription and your one-time implementation and training fees, and then provide you with some of our references to talk to. Typically, we see that once we go through this thoroughly, our goal is to get you to an informed decision. And at that point, if you decide to proceed, we'd initiate the implementation. So again, thank you all very much for your time today. And we will be following up to define the next appropriate steps to support you.
Great. Thanks, Patrick, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks, Lori.